Average Pat's Movie Reviews.
Hey everyone, Average Pat here to sit to chat today about the movie The Lighthouse. This is an older style type movie, not a typical go-getter action movie, superstar, superhero mashup, lots of action. This is a very intense, dark, foreboding, and amazingly for me, yet another descent into madness movie. The film literally on the credits has 3 people credited. Willem Dafoe, Robert Pattinson, and the young lady who plays the mermaid, Valeria Caraman. I'll let you figure out how she fits in later on your own because I don't do spoilers. This was an incredibly well acted movie. It was filmed in an aspect ratio of the older style. I believe it says it was supposed to take place in the years in the 1890s years. So the aspect ratio of the film was not in a typical widescreen. This is actually more of a square box on the screen, which helps improvise, imply, and drive home the fact of the close quarters that these two guys were in for so long by themselves, and to exacerbate the fact that they were there without any kind of breathing room, if you will. They're right on top of each other constantly, and the frustrations, the agony, the any kind of dispensation of attitudes of ignorance or whatever it may be, they were right on top of each other the whole entire time. The film starts off by showing Pattinson and Dafoe's characters first coming ashore on the island with the lighthouse, where they're doing their 4-week wiki tour. Now, wiki apparently is a nickname for the wick trimming that the light keepers used to do with the old school lighthouses. They actually didn't have electric back then. They had actual lamps. And they had to trim the wick to make sure it wasn't too long because it would make the light stutter and flutter. If you ever seen like a long wick on a scented candle or something along those lines, the wick will distort the flame so it flickers quite dramatically. This would help keep an even light that apparently was visible for over 10 miles at some point. The scene shows them coming aboard. They're relieving 2 gentlemen who are unidentified. They don't say who they are. They're pretty much just, hey, have a good night, have a good time as they go out. Don't really say anything at all. And then the film focuses on the house itself. Now, the director is, let me double check because I believe Max Eggers is the one who wrote it. Yeah, his brother Robert, or his relative Robert Eggers, is the one who directed it. He wanted this film to be in black and white and does an incredible job of having it in black and white. There's some sort of filter to make it look a little bit more older style, but the black and white makes it feel like an older movie, makes it feel, man, we're back in the day. There's, no phones, no electricity, nothing. Well, there is a little bit of electricity, but not much. There's not much really going on here except cramped quarters. There's not much going on overall except these 2 guys' job to keep the lighthouse lit and keep it running for the time that they're there. During the time that they're there, the character studies that these 2 gentlemen evoke are just incredible. Pattinson does an amazing job, surprisingly, finally casting off the Twilight hesitations that most people had for him. And honestly, and I'm kind of weird saying it, but kind of gives me a little bit of hope for the Batman that he's going to be starring in, that he can actually do a more sophisticated role and not flub it, honestly. Dafoe is his classic always, himself. He's always been a powerful method actor. He's very powerful in his roles, whether it be, a simple one, as in, playing Green Goblin in the Spider-Man movie, or, his role in Platoon. Anything he does, he puts his whole heart and soul into it, and you can tell that he does in this one as well. Reading the notes on IMDb, you can see that they had very different theories as to how to do their scenes, how to go about their scenes, how to get themselves in that moment. If you read the behind the scenes, the trivia stuff, or the notes on it, there's quite a few humorous anecdotes on there, but I don't want to get into them because some of them contain spoilers. Overall, I wouldn't say this is an excellent movie. I would say it's a very good movie. just because it gets a little bit confusing. It's a very well drawn out movie that makes you think why everything's going on and what's going on with these two guys and why they're descending slowly, crazily, what happens in the meantime, why everything happens the way it is. And you realize it's more of a Greek tragedy than a typical movie. From my understanding, Pattinson's character is based on the Greek hero Prometheus, who steals fire from the gods, takes it to the humans, has it taken back, gives it back to them a second time, and is punished eternally. And his stealing the light, if you will, is the Prometheus. The Prometheus aspect of it. I didn't realize that at first. The more I thought about it, and when I read that up later, it made a lot more sense. But it's a difficult thing to comprehend visually unless you understand that ahead of time. So knowing that it's based on a Greek tragedy or a Greek mythology, if you will, not necessarily a tragedy, but mythology, makes it a little bit easier to swallow, makes it a little bit easier to understand. Like I said, the problem is when you come out of the theater, you don't realize that right away unless you've known that ahead of time, which hopefully I informed you and you learned ahead of time. But overall, unless you realize that, it's going to be a very confusing ending. And to me, I walked out a little bit befuddled at first, and like I said, and then I read up on it and realized, okay, it does make a little bit more sense. So overall, I give this movie an 8 out of 10. Maybe, 8 out of 10. Which would be, in my veer, I don't usually do 10, I usually do 5. Let's see. Give it a 3.5 out of 5. 3.5 out of 5. Maybe an 8 out of 10, but I think 3.5 is a little bit more appropriate. 3.5 out of 5, just because of the fact that it's a little bit confusing and a little bit disturbing unless you understand the basis of the Greek mythology that it's based on. Again, incredible performances by Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. They don't have much of an option but to be, either really good or really bad because of the close quarters, but they do a very excellent job, as always, for Dafoe, and surprisingly for Pattinson. I was very impressed. So 3.5 out of 5 we'll go with. If it happens to be in your area in the theaters, go see it. It's definitely worth it. If you enjoy good character studies and method acting, my gosh, this is definitely the way to go. If it's not in your area, I apologize for that. It was very limited release. I was fortunate enough to catch it up this way, and was able to see it. But I know a lot of people I know have complained that it's not in theaters near their area. A lot of family have said they're very disappointed they can't see it yet because it hadn't been distributed there yet. So look around for it. If it's within a reasonable distance, go see it in the theater. It's a very good movie for the portrayals that these guys throw towards you. I don't know that I would say the word Oscar, but it could possibly be considered at least a nomination for some of it. I honestly think the performances were that good. Again, the movie's not exceptional, but it's a very good movie. So 3.5 out of 5 is my recommendation, and I hope you enjoy it. Have a great night. Please don't forget to like my page on Facebook, subscribe to my channel on YouTube, and tell your friends, let them know. Hopefully we can get more people coming in and give more viewpoints and more discussions on different movies. I appreciate it, guys. Have a great night.